Hello, this is Nelson with Gita Sporting Goods. Today we're looking at the new Pinarello Dogma 2. Pinarello first introduced the Dogma 2 at the 2011 Tour de France, where it was campaigned by both the Sky team and the Movistar team. This is also one of the first frames on the market to get the new UCI approval. It has the label right here on the seat tube. And this is something that Pinarello has done throughout their line. All of their bikes are now fully credited for UCI racing. Dogma 2 is the evolution of the Dogma, which has been out for about 2 years. The Dogma was the first asymmetrical bicycle frame. Pinarello carried the idea of asymmetry throughout the frame, the top tube, seat stays, chain stays, fork, throughout the entire frame. For 2012, they've taken this a step further. They've added asymmetry into the down tube, refined it a little bit throughout, just revised the shapes a little bit. What this asymmetry does is it balances the forces acting on the frame from the drivetrain. Because the drivetrain is offset to the right-hand side, the forces aren't balanced evenly. Whenever you're climbing, sprinting, putting a lot of power to the cranks is when the asymmetry really comes into play, balances out these effects, keeps the bike a lot more stable at those speeds. First thing you'll notice in looking at this, a couple of things. The fork is much more integrated with the frame. In doing this, they've gone to an 1.5 inch fork crown. Lower bearing's an 1.5 inch now. It was an 1.25 inch in years past. This increases the rigidity in the front end by about 19%. What this does is it increases your braking power, it increases the stability in the front end, gives you more steering precision, especially on twisting roads, fast downhills, this sort of thing. One of the reasons they did this is with their computational fluid dynamics, they realized that the airflow, because of the way the brake caliper is mounted, tends to come around onto the left side of the frame, swoop under the down tube, and come out on the other side. The air will move faster on this side since it's broken up by the caliper arms on the right side. Smoothing this out with this little tail on the fork helps smooth the air out. It goes by both sides much more at the same rate. Where this will really come into play is at high rates of descent. If you're doing, say, a 50-mile-an-hour descent, it really smooths out the turbulence around the front end of the bike. Can give you a little bit of added stability, which of course is very important at speeds like that. Same thing with the internal cable routing. It does the same thing. It reduces the effect of the cables hanging out in the air, smooths the airflow a little bit. Some of the other things you'll notice that are different from the Dogma, a lot of the ribbing on the head tube and on the forks is now gone. In the past, this was used for stiffening up the front end substantially, going to the larger headset bearing, larger fork crown. They realized it was not necessary to continue having the ribbing there, and it also breaks up the airflow a little bit. By smoothing it out, you increase the airflow around the frame, adding to the aerodynamics. The front end on the Dogma 2 is about 6% better aerodynamically in testing than the Dogma was. Of course, these are some of the innovations on the Dogma 2. Other things that have remained unchanged. It still uses the 60 HM1K carbon fiber from Toray that Pinarello's used in the Dogma all along. Still uses the nano-alloy technology, which acts as a safety guard in case of any slight damage to the frame, can prevent it from becoming a major crack, a major problem with it. It's very kind of a safety feature there. Also has the EPS, expanded polystyrene layup for the carbon fiber, which helps make the inside of the frame extremely smooth, keeps the frame quieter on the road, and it also avoids having the possibility of having any voids or wrinkles in the carbon fiber layup. Makes a much more solid frame in the long run. Some of the other features on the Dogma 2, it becomes stiffer in the bottom bracket, reshaping the down tube a little bit, adding the asymmetry has allowed them to beef up the bottom bracket area, adds a little bit of stiffness to it. They've also revised the shape of the asymmetry throughout the frame. The top tube, seat stays, chain stays are all a little different from what the Dogma was. One of the things you will notice, that as was shared with the Dogma, is that the left-hand chainstay tends to be larger toward the bottom bracket, which is the highest stress area of the chainstays. It tapers down toward the dropout at the back. The right side is exactly the opposite. It tapers up to the dropout in the back. It becomes the thickest part, the strongest part of the chainstay. The seat stays likewise are asymmetrical. The right one is a little bit different in profile, gives a little bit more stiffness there to counteract the action of the chain and the drivetrain on the frame. Overall, Pinarello has also managed to drop the weight on the frame by about 30 grams from the Dogma. As with the Dogma 2 is available in 12 sizes, several different color options, several of which feature Pinarello's diamond finish. It's also available in 2 different specifications, one such as this for the mechanical derailleur systems, There's also an electronic option for any of the electronic systems that are on the market. We are currently starting to receive inventory on the Dogma 2s. They should be available extensively this fall. Any questions on the Dogma 2, please contact Gita Sporting Goods.